This is the story of a young girl whose dream job turned into tragedy. Mysteriously, she disappeared from the Disney Cruise Line, and for 10 years now, they have been unable to solve this mystery. The girl's parents are convinced that something terrible happened to their daughter, and the liner's management hides the horrifying truth by giving absurd versions of her disappearance. Today we will study all available information and try to answer the main question: was she killed, and is Disney covering up? We will talk about Rebecca Coriam. The girl was born on March 11, 1987 in England. Since childhood, she dreamed of working on a cruise ship. In June 2010, she went to London for an interview at Disney and got a position as an animator aboard the huge Disney Wonderliner. This grand ship more resembles a giant hotel with all amenities for relaxation and enjoyable pastime. Its length is 294 meters. It can accommodate 2,500 passengers and almost 1,000 crew members. Not everyone can afford to ride on it. Currently, an 8-day trip would cost $2,000 per person. This is the most budget-friendly option with a windowless cabin. Those who want maximum comfort would need to pay nearly $7,000. However, none of these expenses applied to Rebecca because she was supposed to travel for free while doing her favorite job with children. After 4 months of training, the girl finally embarked on her first cruise journey. The liner traveled from Los Angeles to Mexican Riviera through the Panama Canal. Afterwards, Rebecca received sad news from home. Her grandfather had passed away. She had no choice but to return to England for 2 weeks and be with her family. Afterward, she returned back to work on board liner. She continued keeping in touch with her parents via Facebook and Skype. After 6 weeks, on March 21, 2011, Rebecca sent her last message to her family, promising to call the next day, but that never happened. Worried, her mother wrote to her on Facebook. However, the girl did not appear online. At 9 a.m. Pacific Time, Rebecca did not show up for her shift, which was immediately noticed by crew members. To their surprise, the girl was nowhere to be found. They checked her cabin and then inspected the entire liner. They tried calling her through the onboard notification system, but it yielded no results. Then, the security staff began reviewing footage from cameras, and here they encountered their first lead. On one of the videos, Rebecca was spotted in the crew area, talking on an internal phone. She appeared visibly upset during the conversation. A man approached Rebecca and asked if everything was okay with her. She replied that she was fine, and then hung up and left the camera's field of view. Nothing is known about where she went afterwards. Understanding that finding the girl on board was no longer possible, the ship's management contacted U.S. Coast Guard and Mexican Navy. And here the strangeness begins. The liner continued on its usual route despite the person's disappearance. Moreover, incorrect coordinates were given to the Naval and Coast Guard forces. 3 days after the girl's disappearance, the captain contacted the police of the Bahamas requesting an investigation since the vessel was registered under this jurisdiction. Here, in solving this mystery, another problem arose. The Bahamas is a highly corrupt country, so one could not initially hope for an objective and quality investigation, and that's how it turned out. A Bahamian investigator was brought to the liner by helicopter. His investigation lasted only half a day. He questioned only 6 out of 950 crew members and did not ask a single question to any of the 2,000 passengers. After that, he calmly boarded the helicopter and went home forgetting about this case. Meanwhile, worried parents couldn't sit still. They decided to travel from England to Mexico to meet with their ship at port. According to them, representatives of Disney did everything possible to hide their presence from passengers. They were driven to the liner in a car with tinted windows and escorted on board through a service entrance after all passengers had disembarked. The captain met with them and expressed his condolences. He also shared his version of what happened. According to him, Rebecca was washed overboard by a wave while she was in crew pool. Let's pause at this moment and take a closer look at the pool. As we can see, the theory of the captain seems simply impossible. Even if we disregard the fact that the pool is surrounded by high sides and is at a considerable distance from the edges of the liner, there remains one detail. In order to reach the pool, wave height should be about 10 meters, but on that day, the water was completely calm. Numerous data from various sources indicate that it was calm. Of course, this version did not satisfy her parents. However, Disney insisted firmly that their daughter had suffered an accident. 6 months later, journalist John Ronson bought a ticket for this liner in order to conduct his own investigation. He did not tell anyone about his plans and pretended to be an ordinary tourist. After talking with members of the crew, he discovered several alarming facts. According to employee statements, management knew perfectly well what happened to the girl. Apparently they were afraid that crew members would reveal the truth. Some of them noted that Rebecca could not disappear without a trace while passing hundreds of cameras. Employees who wished to remain anonymous admitted that there are records revealing what happened to her in possession of the company. Most employees in conversation with Ronson adhered to version that Rebecca was indeed swept away. One of them pointed out that on that day sea conditions were not calm, and such an incident could really happen. From conversations with crew members, Ronson also learned that flip-flops were found on deck after girl's disappearance, but whether they belonged to Rebecca is unknown. Another employee of the liner whom journalist managed Chalk told her version as well. According to her words, Rebecca was involved in romantic relationship with a certain member of crew, and before her disappearance their relationship had been quite tense. According this version, on last camera recording Rebecca was talking on phone precisely with her boyfriend. In conclusion, employee added she also considers Rebecca's disappearance as an unfortunate accident. According to her opinion, the girl was upset because of another argument with her lover and went to the staff pool to relax. She did not believe in the theory of a huge wave capable of washing a person overboard. She assumed that Rebecca could have sat on the wide railing and accidentally fallen down. As for Rebecca's last phone call, some crew members assured that it was recorded on tape, but Disney does not want to disclose the contents of this conversation. Perhaps the truth about the girl's disappearance will seriously damage the company's reputation. As for the flip-flop found near the pool, its involvement in the case becomes more doubtful as the investigation progresses. The girl's parents said that its size was small for their daughter. None of the crew members could remember seeing them on Rebecca even once, and in 2016 private detectives even claimed that flip-flops belonged to another line employee. Ronson wrote an article about his investigation in The Guardian. The captain's version remained unconvincing for him, and employees' words were suspicious. Rebecca's father hired a private detective who used to work at Scotland Yard. After conducting his own investigation, he stated that captain's version was completely unreliable. The sea at that time was calm. A huge wave simply couldn't arise out of nowhere. He also acknowledged that due to deck railings' height it would be impossible to wash away a person. The detective studied camera recordings where Rebecca communicated via internal communication phone system. In his opinion, film had been deliberately cut off to hide time and location marks. There was one more peculiarity on this recording. The clothes worn by Rebecca seemed too big for her. This could indicate that they belonged to someone else, most likely a man. Considering the fact that Rebecca was a British citizen, local politicians actively tried to assist in the investigation. They also declared the absurdity of the Disney version and believe that the company is hiding the truth. Some do not rule out that the police of the Bahamas received a bribe for refusing a full investigation. Unfortunately, their authority was limited by international law, and they were unable to take any significant steps in investigating this incident. Only after Rebecca's disappearance did British politicians begin discussing adopting a law that would allow them to investigate disappearances of their citizens in international waters. With support from British authorities, Rebecca's parents sued Disney. They demanded disclosure of all available information about their daughter's disappearance. The legal process concluded in 2015 with an agreement reached between both parties. Disney paid an undisclosed sum of money to Rebecca's parents. No other details about this case were disclosed publicly. The parents also agreed not to discuss publicly any further investigations into Rebecca's disappearance. Perhaps Disney did reveal the truth about her fate under conditions of non-disclosure. Based on all the aforementioned information, several theories can be highlighted regarding what happened to Rebecca. The theory about a giant wave throwing her out of the pool can be dismissed due to its complete lack of credibility. The theory that she accidentally fell overboard due to carelessness also seems weak. She had been working on board for more than one day and should have been well aware of all dangers. Another possibility being considered is that she may have been kidnapped. After her disappearance, The ship continued its journey without anyone inspecting all cabins. It is possible that during this time she was held captive on board and later disembarked in Mexico. But perhaps it is most obvious theory is that Rebecca died on board at hands either passengers or crew members, after which she was thrown overboard. This version best explains why Disney is so afraid for its reputation. The question is only what exactly the company is hiding. If someone from the crew killed her, it would be a serious blow to Disney's reputation. However, the fact that the company may have hidden or tampered with evidence could lead to a high-profile legal process. Unfortunately, 13 years have passed since the girl's disappearance, and no one has yet obtained the truth from this multi-billion-dollar company. Despite this, Rebecca's parents and British authorities still hope to learn the truth, no matter how tragic it may be.